Rita Repulsa is debatably the most recognisable villain in all of the Power Rangers franchise. Appearing in, I believe, 6 seasons of the show and the Mighty Morphin and Turbo movies, she is an iconic figure of the show's lore, and her story after the Zordon era takes an extremely interesting twist. If you don't know what happens to Rita, stick around towards the end of this video to find out, as we will be briefly covering her story first. Let's get into it. We don't know a great deal about Rita's past, but what we do know comes from the comics. This can be considered a separate timeline and continuity, but many fans take this sort of stuff as canon, as it does not interfere with or contradict anything from the show's lore. So, tens of thousands of years ago, Master Vile met with an ally of Zordon named Lady Fienna. They fell in love and got married. He kept his true evil intentions from his wife, but she eventually found out who he really was and fled when she became pregnant. Pregnant with Rita. She went to Zordon for safety. She then gave birth to Rita while under his protection. However, Master Vile had never stopped searching for his wife and daughter, and when he eventually did find them, he sent Tanga warriors to recapture Rita, who at this point was 6 years old. They also mortally wounded Fienna. Master Vile then raised Rita in his cruel and evil ways. The comics also show that Rita met with a dog-like creature named Finster on an unnamed planet. Finster had just accidentally killed his wife, and out of fear of how the other natives would treat him if they found out, he fled the planet with Rita, with the promise of being able to create what he considered to be beautiful art, also known as evil monsters for Rita to use at her disposal. Then, during her upbringing, along with her brother Rito, she embraced the evil and dark magic taught to her by their father. She even crafted a staff of sorts which she used to channel her evil. She eventually went on to join the army of Lord Zed, aiding him in his conquest to conquer the universe. She amassed a large army of monsters and putty patrollers to serve her. During her reign of terror, she led a group of minions to conquer Earth, a planet which was, of course, populated by humans. Her first attempt at conquering Earth failed. She was stopped in her tracks by Zordon himself. He trapped her in a dumpster and sent her out into space where she would stay for 10,000 years. She eventually circled back to the moon where, after she was freed by a pair of curious astronauts, she reclaimed her palace and started another conquest on Earth. She sent her chief warrior Goldar to Earth to lay siege to the world. However, Rita was met by her nemesis Zordon, who had managed to re-establish contact with Earth and gather new warriors, the Power Rangers. Beginning her second invasion on the planet, Rita's monsters were constantly defeated by Zordon's Rangers, teenagers with attitude who wielded the mighty power coins. Rita mainly relied on monsters created by Finster to use in her battles with the Rangers. However, her most effective plan came when she decided to make use of the power coin that she had had in her possession for a long time, the Dragon Power Coin. She selected a new student and classmate of the Power Rangers, Tommy Oliver, as he was already a formidable martial artist, being evenly matched with Jason Lee Scott, the leader of the Power Ranger team, in a local martial arts tournament. She put him under her dark spell and made him her evil Green Ranger. This proved extremely effective for a while, with the Green Ranger wreaking havoc on the Rangers, almost defeated them all single-handedly. They eventually managed to break the spell, and Tommy, still with access to his powers, joined the side of good. A pretty bad outcome for Rita. The opposition just got a lot tougher. However, it wasn't long before Rita's superior, the almighty Lord Zed, decided it was time for him to take charge of the attacks on Earth, disgusted with Rita's efforts in the fight against Zordon. He wanted to return to defeat Zordon once and for all, so he sealed Rita away in the dumpster once again and cast her back out into space. But she returned just a year later to find that Zed was still having just as much trouble as she was having herself. So she snuck back into the palace and asked her loyal friend Finster to make a love potion that would cause Zed to fall in love with her. The plan was to be able to eventually overthrow him, although she eventually scrapped the plan to overthrow him as she became genuinely in love with him. So the two joined forces and continued to attack Zordon and the Rangers together, but failing over and over again. You've got to give them credit though, they were persistent if nothing else. Following Rita's marriage to Zed, her brother Rito Revolto arrived at the Moon Palace to join in their fight against the Rangers. Not long after Rito's arrival on the moon, Rita and Rito's father, Master Vile, came to criticize his daughter's choice in men. Attempting to upstage Zed in conquering the Earth, Vile reversed time on the planet, which turned the Rangers back into children. While they attempted to set things right, Rita and Zed plotted their boldest move yet: destroy the command center and steal the powerful Zeo Crystal for themselves. Though the plan, like pretty much all of their others, was a failure. Goldar and Rito's explosive device did go off, but the Rangers, Zordon and Alpha 5 escaped to a fortified power chamber underneath the wreckage, and the Zeo Crystal turned up in the rubble, as Goldar and Rito somehow managed to lose it during their escape from the scene of the crime. Rita and Zed then went on to celebrate their biggest accomplishment over the Rangers so far, but the party didn't last long. Longtime rivals of both Zed and Rita, the Machine Empire, arrived and forced the couple back to the moon. They did eventually return with a plan of vengeance, giving a gift that was actually a bomb to the Machine Empire. They temporarily disabled them and were able to rule the moon themselves. However, the pair decided that it was best not to resume their war with the Rangers. They also recommended that the turbo villain Divatox do the same. She had called Rita for advice on dealing with the Rangers, but Rita just laughed it off and told Divatox to run away. Then, sometime in between Turbo and in space, both Rita and Zed joined their evil comrades in the United Alliance of Evil under the command of Dark Spectre. The plan was to mount a final assault on all of the forces of good throughout the galaxy. At an Alliance conference on the Chimera planet, Rita met with Divatox, who was acting extremely arrogant. She quickly informed Rita that she had in fact defeated the Turbo Rangers. Lost for words, Rita turned to Zed to ask if this could possibly be true. To her horror, he confirmed that it was kind of the talk of the universe now. It was then during the end of the Power Rangers in Space season that Rita and Zed met their end. Sort of. After Andros destroyed Zordon's energy tube, it released a wave of good energy. Seeing the wave of good energy approaching, Rita screamed for Zed not to let her go. When the wave finally reached them, it destroyed most of their army but left her and Zed alive as humans. Now purified, Rita expressed happiness that she and Zed had been purified together, and at his request, they engaged in a dance. Now, onto what we can assume would be her ultimate fate, one that you earlier viewers of perhaps just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers may not be aware of. So 8 years after her purification, Rita was revealed to have regained her magical powers, assuming she ever lost them, and she was actually using them for good. She became the Empress of Good Magic and the leader of the Mystic Ones. As the Mystic Mother, she gave the Mystic Force Rangers their link to the Morphing Grid and helped them in their quest to defeat evil Mystic forces. Her last appearance is after Octomus's destruction, seemingly breaking the fourth wall as she says that the darkness is destroyed by light, and should it ever return, your magic must stop it. So, although Rita was raised to be evil, she was good at heart. She genuinely cared for her father and her brother. She even fell in love with Lord Zed, and it was likely her ability to love that was one of the reasons that the energy wave purified her rather than destroy her. This, and maybe because the fact that she was corrupted to evil by her father, and this was maybe never supposed to have happened, never supposed to have been her destiny. She was ultimately destined for good, which I love. Although sadly her evil legacy lived on through a son that she had with Zed, named Thrax, who unfortunately believed it was a tragedy that his parents turned to good. In my opinion, it's a huge shame that Thrax was never used more. He should have been a main series villain. He had an awesome design, one of the best evil character designs if you ask me, and his backstory is really cool. Such a shame. Anyway, Rita is a fantastic character with a brilliant arc that spanned almost 13 years. Hopefully we will see a return from her character in the future. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video as I enjoyed making it. I'd like to give a quick shout out to a new channel that we're running, The Broken Sword. If you are a fan of Lord of the Rings, you may have heard of our old channel, History of the Ages. We decided to start again due to multiple issues, and we've removed the channel which had 320,000 subscribers to start from scratch. So if you're into Lord of the Rings lore, show some support, go over and subscribe to The Broken Sword. Thank you very much. Also, thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope you have a great day. May the power protect you, and I will see you next time on the 6th Ranger.